So I think we're live. Welcome, everybody. So I'm sorry the original link that I provided isn't working for some reason. So I'm just starting a new live link here. So if you showed up on that original link, I hope you can figure out a way to transfer to this one. So it's an hour right now from the exact moment of the summer solstice. And so I want to welcome you to this longest day of the year. It's a special time. These seasons, these pivotal points in the seasonal cycle have a great significance for the movement of energies on this earth. So the moment of greatest light, the moment of the shortest day, and the equinoxes in between are like, the astrological node points through which earth energies can be brought forward more strongly. So yeah, looks like people are finding this, so I'm grateful. So hi Lisa, hi Marianne. So there was a question when I was doing the last meditation a couple of days ago, the Saturday meditations, about how this solstice relates to the magic box ceremony, which was back in December 20th last year. So I'm just going to take a couple minutes, wait for people to join, and then we can start on that. Hey, Rastafarian. Great, so it's your first time to catch live. Yeah, thanks for that concern. She's fine. So, great. So, looks like people are slowly finding this here. Let me just quickly check the other one to see what's going on there. Oh well. Yeah, I think the difference, there's two categories. One is webcam and one is web stream or something, and somehow it entered the web stream rather than the webcam, and it requires certain software which I don't have. So I think that's what this confusion is all about. And I'm not a techie with some of this stuff. All right, so let's begin. So the magic box was a prophecy that the Aboriginal elders in Australia had in their, had been holding for many, many long years. And supposedly this has to do with a crystalline technology that was an actual artifact given to them by the Pleiadian elders, which has been buried underneath Uluru, the mountain, the sacred mountain in the heart of Australia. So the idea was that if this was activated by enough people, it would open a new timeline of possibility for our planet, for humanity, for Mother Earth. And they say that, yes, this has taken place, the new timeline has begun. I looked for an update, I couldn't find a specific update. But what I'd like to do is go back and read some of what I'd written right around the time of this magic box ceremony last year. So this was the solstice ceremony, the winter solstice in 2020. And so what I'd said at that time If there are enough people holding a positive intention for the earth at the moment of the December 21st solstice this year, say the Australian Aboriginal dream keepers, this collective intention will activate what is known as the magic box, an ancient Pleiadian crystalline artifact buried beneath the ancient site of Uluru, initiating a vibrational pulse that could help our planet move into her next evolutionary cycle. If there are not enough people holding a positive, focused intention, or if the plan were to be somehow aborted, the Earth Spirit, Kurungu, would still move towards her next creative pulse, but perhaps without the human species. The axis of the Earth would tilt, huge waves would cover the land, and the next wave of planetary evolution would begin, following an extinction event. The magic box is an evolutionary gift from the star people. It is directly attuned to the vibrational frequency of the rainbow serpent, the creative energy of Kurungu. For too long, our heavy collective energies have prevented our Earth Mother from passing into her next phase of evolution. All this is about to change, however, assuming that there is a critical mass of positive human intention. Our planet will enter a process where two separate timelines will emerge, attuned to two very different pulses. In terms of Schumann harmonics, the first pulse will remain at its current base harmonic frequency of 8 Hz. The second pulse will rapidly accelerate towards 200 Hz and even higher, creating the impulse for a vibrational shift affecting our entire planet. Now remember that when we're talking about Schumann harmonics, this is different from the base frequency. The base frequency of 8 Hz has to do with the actual diameter of the planet, which doesn't change. But just like with a guitar string, there are harmonics between the actual bass string. There are duads and triads and quatrads and so on within this um, dominant pulse, and that's what we're referring to as the Schumann harmonics. And this is what they say will continue to accelerate very rapidly. Some have referred to this as an ascension into fifth density or beyond, while others simply call it the Great Awakening. But this is the moment that indigenous people across the world have awaited for a very long time. Those who are not prepared to move into a higher dimensional world will have the choice to remain behind in a timeline characterized by duality, fear, greed, and control dramas. However, for those who make different choices, there will be a very rapid acceleration into a higher dimensional existence. As the rainbow serpent awakens, said the Aboriginal dream keepers, this will create a rainbow bridge between earth and sky. The umbilical cord of the earth, which is the source of all life on the planet, is known as Ngaltiwadi. While one end of this umbilical cord connects deep into the crystalline core of our planet, the other end of the same umbilical cord connects it etherically to the heart of our sun. When the power of the rainbow serpent begins to flow through the Ngaltiwadi, a rainbow bridge is built between earth and sun, and then out across the galaxies to worlds and dimensions beyond our own. Thus, the earth has two primary vehicles which nourish and support her creative forces, one being the ley lines and the telluric currents emanating from the rainbow serpent as she rises up from within the earth. So this is the earth's kundalini. And the other being the solar Ngaltiwadi, the rainbow bridge that connects the heart of Mother Earth to the sun, and then out beyond into the living cosmos. Together, These song lines nourish the etheric body and vitality of the earth. There are twin global serpents, the equivalent of the Ida and the Pingala in the Earth's Kundalini channels, that began to awaken in 1984 and 1987. In July of 1990, an etheric Hangaltawadi was constructed between Uluru and the Sun. The Saturn-Pluto conjunction of January 2020 represented the next wave of preparation, creating a bridge between deep telluric forces beneath the Earth and the multidimensional soul of our planet. The final phase of activating the magic box took place on the solstice of 2020, which is directly associated with the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in 0 degrees of Aquarius. So astrologers associate this with the dawning of the age of Aquarius. And at that moment, the power of the Nagartivadi moves out across all the planetary grids and chakras, energizing a new cycle of creation. So the elders say that the activation of the magic box is necessary if humans on the surface of the earth are to join the galactic family of nations, which includes Earth, inner Earth civilizations, as well as civilizations on other planetary and star systems. Indigenous people around the world have been awaiting this for a long, long time, an event that unfortunately became delayed due to the extreme polarization of human consciousness. We are at a juncture now when the collective consciousness of humanity is ready to make a quantum leap and are called to participate along with the Aboriginal elders in the activation of this rainbow bridge. Okay, so this was the ceremony on December 21st last year. And if you, there's other blogs besides this which go more into the age of Aquarius and what that signifies and so on. So I just posted that a few minutes ago on my Facebook page. So take a look if you're interested. So I want to come back now to the summer solstice, 6 months later. So what the Aboriginal elders say is that this new timeline has been set. Nothing can change it now. So the ceremonies have been successful. The rainbow serpent has awakened. The rainbow bridge has been created up to the sun and up to our galactic center and beyond. We have made the connection with the star elders, and we are now, as part of the galactic family, ready to move forward to the next evolution. So this is extraordinary. It's a time that we've awaited for a very long time, and even though they haven't said much since then, it's like many people are experiencing this on many levels. There's an acceleration of truth consciousness that's working with the planetary collective, and whether it has to do with political events, whether it has to do with disclosure, whether it has to do with people becoming aware of the shadow aspects of global politics and economics, the medical mafia, and so on. So much of this is coming to the surface. There's always going to be a level of cognitive dissonance at first, but I think this is past the critical mass now. So from here on, things are continuing to happen in an exponential way, very powerfully, and we are part of it. So Lisa says, I'm looking forward, more light and knowledge for this solstice. Fernando, thank you. Namaste, Sushina. Yeah, Falcon, happy solstice. Such a great time being on this earth. And then Lisa says, I do think the 7 seals, the chakras of the earth, have been opened. Please say more about that. If you'd like to say something more in chat, I can read that out. Yeah, so just like we have chakras within our human bodies, so does the earth have chakras within her body that moves through different organ meridians and extending out beyond the physical body. So does Mother Gaia. And what's happening now is we're recognizing these energy systems. Drunvalo Melchizedek spoke about the rainbow serpent, the serpent of light that has been moving through different gateways and different regions of the earth. Many people talk about specific chakras that are located on the surface of the earth at different power centers. So Glastonbury is known as the heart center. Uluru is sometimes known as the solar plexus. Mount Shasta has been known as the first chakra by some, the crown chakra by others. Machu Picchu is another one. There's many, and they keep moving. So it's not about fixing one location as a single chakra. These are simply doorways, and whenever we create doorways, uh, they become active. We can create a doorway in our own backyard. We can create a doorway within our own energy bodies. And so let's not get too stuck in specific places on this earth, but there's an awareness that whatever these power centers are, there's a new activation going on. So wherever in the world these energies have been moving, the rainbow serpents have been active, this is accelerating. And the entire body of the earth is becoming more and more awakened. I just saw this orb passing by. Fascinating. All right. So, yeah, I apologize for this breakdown in the YouTube setup. I noticed there's quite a few people who wanted to join who haven't been able to. So perhaps you can catch the replay later. So, summer solstice. So it signifies the time of greatest light, the longest day. For those in the northern hemispheres within the Arctic Circle, this is the time that known as the midnight sun. And I remember being in Sweden in the lake region a few years ago and watching this. It's like the sun doesn't set. And it's a metaphor, it's a symbol for how we're entering into this time of unending light. Not just light on a physical level, but light on a metaphysical level. We have crossed the cusp of an age. We've moved into an Aquarian age. We've moved out of the Kali Yuga into Dvapara Yuga, some say Satyuga. We're going through pralayas, these times of shift. The Incas talk about the great upturning or the turning around, the Pachacuti. So the apocalypse basically represents this Pachacuti. It's a great shift, the turning around, and that time is upon us. So I remember when I was in Guatemala before the time of the 2012 Solstice event, that I was with a group of people and we were talking with some of the um, Mayan elders about the Mayan calendar and what that signifies and what it means that it's ending in 2012. And they said, don't worry about, specific dates. Our prophecies are not about uh, linear time. It's about a moment that we're entering where we will experience the 3 days of darkness, which is basically a magnetic shift. It's the awakening of Kundalini within our bodies, within the body of the earth. It's the activation of DMT within the pineal gland. It's the opening of the doorways between the worlds. And shamans have learned how to open these doorways at will. But this is a time where the collective now is preparing to do the same thing. So these doorways are opening. And this time of the summer solstice is a symbolic moment of the Great Awakening. So, welcome to this Great Awakening. Our collective thoughts and intentions are fueling this moment. So, Lisa continues the message about the seven seals. I participated in a meditation for the earth on Easter, where I went to places on the earth and broke open these seals in the places you mentioned. I was not aware that these were Gaia's chakras. And Falcon says, I saw this too. Beautiful and blessed. If I see 3 days of darkness, says Lisa, I'm going to open some champagne. And that's what the Mayan elders were very insistent. They said, this is a time to celebrate. It's not about doom and gloom. And the fact that we've actually opened this Pandora's box, not Pandora's box, the magic box, also Pandora's box, to remember that hope is now being unveiled. That hope that has been sitting inside Pandora's box while all these evils flood the planet. Now that hope is being awakened, and this hope has to do with the activation of the Earth's Kundalini. So yes, so these Mayan elders were insisting that this is a time of great celebration. So when you see these 3 days of darkness, when this time comes upon you, it's a physical event. It's not just metaphorical, and it's an actual linear moment in time. So it's not metaphorical thousands of years. It's 3 actual days or less, where the last phase of the magnetic reversal or excursion takes place, where the magnetic field of the Earth goes down to almost zero, which then opens up the womb of the Earth to cosmic seeding. So cosmic rays, gamma rays, solar rays, ultraviolet radiation bombard the Earth with the capacity to create new species and new potentials within existing species. So it's like a wild mutational field day, and Gaia is in charge. So usually what happens in these long-range cycles is that there are cycles of extinction followed by new birth. We've gone through the extinction already. There's millions of species on this planet that have already become extinct. And humans are a part of that. There's natural cycles that are part of that. But now we are focusing on the next phase, the rebirth. So with this magnetic reversal or excursion, this 3 days of darkness, the body of the Earth becomes open to cosmic seeding, to new DNA potential rising. And so within a very short time, endless creation begins to happen. The doorways between the worlds opens. New impulses, new information come in from the center of our galaxy, from the heart of the universe. And Gaia responds to that. So this is a co-creation that goes far beyond are one planet. It's a co-creation extending out forever. So this is what we can look forward to. It's a very hopeful time. So yes, please bring out your bubbles, your champagne. Yeah, Falcon says it makes sense why so many light workers and shaman practitioners are in different places now. Um, example, Matias de Stefano from Argentina is in Egypt at the pyramids. My other friend, a shamanic healer, flew to Peru. So yeah, we're spreading out. So Sushina, Steve, so be it. Thank you to the entire family of light for making this possible. Love and blessings. Um, so if we have 3 days of darkness, we can spend it together online or whatever you're supposed to do during those 3 days. Actually, let me describe what might take place. Um, no, it won't be online for two reasons. One is that before these actual 3 days of darkness, where the magnetic fields of the earth go to almost zero and then the magnetic poles shift, we will already be in a time where there's massive solar flares bombarding the earth, taking down much of the infrastructure. So we might find that our power systems, our internet access, our power sources no longer work. We would be forced to look to off-grid sources or to connecting with internal technologies to replace these external sources of power. It does not mean that there'll be civilization collapse. We're preparing for this. We already have systems in place for when this time comes. And the other reason I say we won't be on the internet is simply because we won't be in the in conscious awareness within our bodies. So we won't be in a thinking place, a functional, rational space with when this time comes. What happens is that the magnetic field of the earth is what's responsible to hold our physical and subtle bodies together. In the absence of these magnetic fields, these bodies spin apart. And this is temporary. If it happened for a long time, that silver cord connecting these bodies would be cut. But this is temporary. And so as these bodies spin apart, our conscious awareness will begin to dissipate. So the rational mind will no longer be functioning, and there'll be doorways to other levels of the mind beyond the rational that start to open up. So we're talking about the higher mind, the illumined mind, the intuitive mind, the overmind, even the supermind. So these are all terms used by Sri Aurobindo describing different layers of consciousness which are part of the superconscious. Also within the subconscious, there's layers of the mind, the cellular mind. This also begins to activate. This is where DNA activates as a response to thoughts, beliefs, feelings, vibrations, and energies. So as we shut down the rational level of thought, all these other levels of the mind can open up. It's like the rational mind has been so strong and so fixed that we haven't allowed these other realms of possibility to work through us. And now with this 3 days of darkness, the door is open, DMT gets activated. So In the absence of magnetic fields, DMT within the pineal gland becomes active. And DMT, as many of you know who've worked with plant medicines, is what opens up these doorways. DMT is the actual opening up between the worlds where we access subtle realms, subtle senses, our multidimensional self. So this is not just for a few people anymore. Imagine a collective event where the entire magnetic field of the earth shuts down for a period of hours or days. And during this time, our collective consciousness awakens. So the DMT gets activated in every single human form on this planet and in many of the animal species as well. So just imagine what that might look like, what that means in terms of Gaia's own awakening. If we are all aspects of Gaia, humans represent the nervous system along with whales and dolphins, the left and right brain of our planet. Every animal species represents an emotional quality. Every plant species is connected with the etheric body of the earth, which links across dimensions out to the sun beyond, across galaxies on these waves of plasma, intersecting and interconnecting the entire cosmos of time and space. So we're talking about multiple dimensions opening up at this time. So we've been locked into one dimension that we call third dimensional time space. And now we're accessing and opening to very spontaneously and naturally, collectively, a multidimensional awakening. It doesn't mean that we are no longer physical, because physicality and third dimensional reality are not the same. We can be in physical reality in fifth dimensional bodies. So in other words, we shift vibrationally from a certain vibration within matter to a higher dimension within matter, but still remain physical. So for instance, when you leave the physical body and enter your future existence, your afterlife experience in a subtle body, we all do this and we all will at some point in this life. What happens is that the world around still appears to be very physical, just because your subtle senses have opened up in a subtle world. So relatively speaking, it all looks the same, except maybe infused with more light, infused with more of a vibrational quality that we don't access in this reality. Sri Aurobindo speaks about the transition from physical matter into true matter. He talks about the journey from the third dimensional earth realm into a supramental earth realm. And this has already been built. It's already there. It's just that this bridge hasn't happened yet. And what the Aboriginal elders say is that with the Uluru ceremony of the magic box, this bridge, this rainbow bridge, has been built. And now it's our turn to walk across this bridge. I'll share a dream that my friend Grace had regarding this some time ago, where many of us were in the process of crossing this bridge into the next world. Several people had already crossed over and were awaiting a few others. It's not that every single person had to cross over. Many would not. And then their turn would come in a future incarnation. to access this higher vibrational earth. And as usual, I was the last person, and there was a question whether or not I'd be able to make it. Eventually, I did, and the bridge actually collapsed, and I fell into the water and managed to swim my way across. Um, so anyway, we are on this journey. We are crossing this bridge. If we choose to be part of the supramental world, we already are. We won't choose unless we're already guided, unless we're already impelled on some level by soul. So now we are on this journey of a collective awakening. To me, this summer solstice this year represents a major turning point. The return of light. How this happens exactly is still a mystery. How many people physically manage to make it in this existing body is a mystery. It may be that many don't. Um, do you know that when a child is conceived, there may be millions of sperm cells released by the father, all competing to impregnate the egg? Only one or two actually make it. But if it wasn't for all those millions to clear the way, to somehow reduce the acidic content of the egg cell, I don't remember the full procedure here, but it takes a certain number. Now we're talking about critical mass, beyond which something becomes possible. And then it's our choice as individuals, if we're willing and how willing to cross this threshold. So it's not about numbers, it's about quality. And if we're talking about not the Schumann, the scale of consciousness from David Hawkins, where on a scale of 0 to 1,000, we can bring a certain level of consciousness into the collective that begins to offset the multitudes. So even if there's a few people vibrating at the higher end of the scale, we can counterbalance the majority of the human population who are vibrating at the lower ends of the scale. And also we're talking about the entire planet as a collective consciousness. Humans are the ones I'm most worried about because we are the ones who resist. Other species are not in resistance, they're simply moving in accordance with Gaia's plan and intention. Okay, let me look at this again. Okay, so I was responding to Marianne's question about spending these 3 days of darkness together online, or whatever it is we're supposed to be doing. So I think what we'll be doing is actually we'll be in a state of relative coma, where things happen outside of our conscious awareness, reconnections between soul and personality structures. And then Lisa says, I was told that we are experiencing dark events now, so we can all make decisions as to who we want to be on an individual basis. Yeah, so this dark night of the soul that so many talk about, it's a personal as well as collective journey. Is there something we should be doing during these 3 days? Yeah, so I just mentioned that. So we just you won't be able to be doing. There won't be a doing. Whatever you're doing will suddenly stop. And it's not like, there's a moment of impact and you're flying an airplane and suddenly you can't do anything and the plane crashes. It's a gradual process of entering into this um, 3 days of darkness. By gradual, I mean there'll be enough time to land, there'll be enough time to sit someplace, go inside your home, um, connect with your inner self. Um, so if you want to come together as a group, fine, but it'll still be an individual journey. Okay, so Stephen, I'm sorry I joined late. Is Kiara referring to what's happening on the 21st? I'm in the United States. I'm referring to the 3 days of darkness. So today is a solstice. It's one step in this grand pathway. But the 3 days of darkness is an actual event that the indigenous elders, the aboriginals, many prophecies have spoken about for a long time. And this is the time, the actual entry into the age of Aquarius or into the age of light. And this is also perhaps where we step out of linear time into multidimensional presence. So linear time engages the rational mind. Multidimensional presence is where time is no longer so rigid. We experience simultaneity or synchronicity, where many timelines come together, and our intention makes the difference. So manifestation happens very quickly because we're not struggling with the resistance of low density physical matter or the low density rational mind. So Falcon says, amazing. That explains when I asked the shaman last year during my Yaqui ayahuasca retreat, said exactly as Kiara said, like a DMT experience. Beautiful. Isn't that exciting? You know, what happens when, and many of you who've had experiences with DMT, what happens when you first experience um, the blasting open of the doorways? If you're ready for this, you travel all the way out into source consciousness, beyond the soul, into primordial essence, because these doorways open up all the way through. Um, at times, there'll be resistance, inner darkness, fears, traumas start to surface. It happens very quickly, which means that on an emotional level, we can go through um, a very heavy experience of feeling the end of everything, the destruction of the personal self, the personal ego. I remember when I did my first ayahuasca journey, the shaman who was guiding us was going around the circle asking if there was a specific intention that we had. And I said I would like to experience the shaman's death. And I'd read about this, and I really didn't have much of an idea what I was asking for. And he said, "Are you sure? Are you really sure that's what you want?" And I said, "Yeah, no problem." And it was like such an intense catharsis. Um, I don't I didn't know if my body could survive that, if my psyche could survive that. It was very, very intense. It doesn't have to be that way. For most of us, it happens in phases. We integrate something and then we go to the next level. We integrate that, we go to the next level. We embrace a certain level of darkness within us, and it opens up a new wave of light. So this is the shaman's death, um, and this is the journey of awakening. This is the dark night of the soul. So as we go through the darkness, we enter into the deepest layers of light, because we, the Sri Aurobindo talks about new creation emerging from the heart of the inconscient. And the inconscient is that great mystery that we have resisted um, for this entire cycle of evolution. And as we enter into that inconscient, a new phase of evolution can begin that not only touches our own planet here, but moves out across the galaxies. So this is what makes this time special on this planet. Those of us who've been called to uh, to be here, to follow this invitation from Gaia. Lisa says, I've seen the new earth in meditation. Instead of plants, animals, and humans taking, we all give to each other. Exactly. We've become takers. There's a beautiful book called Ishmael. It's actually um, written from the perspective of um, a chimpanzee whose name is Ishmael. And it's like he's giving um, an anthropological description of humans on this planet. And he says humans are takers. We haven't learned to exchange energies, and we haven't learned to give. It's all about taking. And that's why we're destroying this planet. In the Inca tradition, they talk about Aini, which is the exchange. It's the reciprocity. Giving and receiving become part of each other. The web of life is about that. It's about reciprocity. It's about this exchange. And if you're only intent on taking, we break that cycle. And that's what then creates this world out of balance. Yeah, thank you, Lisa. That's beautiful. This is the new earth. It's already here on some level. Stephen says, Kiara, I'm curious to know your opinion. Do you feel that with us moving into 5D, integrating more of our light bodies, and as we transition from a carbon-based to crystalline bodies, do you see us moving away from getting our energy from food and water, like a breatharian? Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Um, Many people have spoken about this. I've noticed for myself that there have been times in my life when I've been in special places doing um, deep work, where for maybe like a month or two at a time, I haven't needed to eat. Maybe I'll eat something, like a piece of banana in the morning just to satisfy my curiosity. Um, Many people these days, thousands of people these days, have consciously, intentionally become breatharians. Um, it's the intention that makes the difference, along with the willingness to give the body a chance to recalibrate its energy flows. So instead of receiving prana from food, we're receiving prana from plasma, from ether. And there's an adjustment that takes place within the spine that makes this possible. So it's not an extraordinary spiritual thing. We don't have to be, sitting in a cave for 50 years to accomplish this. We can all do this. And often necessity is the mother of invention. When the need is there, so supposing there's major food shortages based on climate changes, based on the breakdown of communications and transport, um, most people on this earth haven't learned how to grow their own food, how to be self-sufficient. So yes, we might need to learn how to live off prana. if we wish to remain in these bodies. So our soul has created these possibilities for when the time is right. All right, so we have about 10 minutes now for the actual moment of the summer solstice. So let's do a meditation. What we can do is the Inca practice of connecting doorways, opening to sky and earth, and then we'll just remain in the stillness as we collectively entrain to the rest of our amazing planet. And then just stay in that stillness for as long as you wish as we move into this time of solstice. All right, so become aware of that bubble of light surrounding the four lower bodies. So the human personality is a conglomerate of the physical, etheric, emotional, and mental bodies. And this is what this bubble represents. Extending out about 6 feet or 2 meters, all the way around the physical body. Feel the boundaries. It's like a bright, luminous egg. And these are the boundaries of the middle world, of the shamans. At the top of this bubble, there's the window. And this is a circular window opening up to the sky. It can open and close like the aperture of a camera, as wide as you wish. Or at times when you're experiencing too much light, you can also close it down if you need a rest. But for now, we just open this window as wide as possible. And the moment we do so, there's this powerful electrical force of light, a tremendous cascade of living energy pouring in from across the galaxies. Plasma, intelligent life force entering through this window, moving through the four bodies, beginning to release layers of hucha, resistance, fear, attachment, trauma, conditioning, wherever that may be located, either within the physical body or the etheric bodies. And this light continues to pour in and pour down like a waterfall cascading down from above. Notice the sensations, notice what happens with your breath. This cascade enters down into the earth through many, many different layers of the earth, both physical, etheric, and causal, as it moves down towards the very center of our planet, the very heart of Gaia. And all you're doing is keeping that window open as wide as possible. No effort, no forcing, simply allowing and witnessing. Experiencing this cascade of electrical light pouring in and through, releasing hucha along the way, activating new circuitries, nourishing the nervous system, which is electrically based. And then, in response to this electrical downflow, notice a stream of light coming up from the center of the earth, moving up through all her subtle and physical layers. There's an intelligent force of magnetic light that starts to move up through the soles of your feet, through your physical body, as well as through the emotional and mental bodies, through the etheric body that connects them all and links out into the universe. So this magnetic force is very nurturing, loving, comforting. It's the intelligence of Mother Earth. It's the presence of Mother Earth. The unconditional love that she holds and carries for all creatures upon this earth. And this rises up through these four bodies as a magnetic force, gently permeating every cell, nourishing, vitalizing. And then up through that window to the sky. And as these two forces, the electrical and the magnetic, continue to flow back and forth without effort, simply by keeping that window open, notice what happens. This interaction allows this bubble to expand. You start connecting out into your causal body, the Ba, the soul body, the Anandamaya Kosha, which is connected with the soul of Gaia, it's connected with the soul of the universe. So feel yourself expanding out now, effortlessly, as soul presence. Expanding out now until you feel yourself one with the body and consciousness of the earth, the heart, the soul of Gaia. You feel the entire planet inside your own space. All forces of life, all species, the elements, all of this is inside as much as outside. And then you feel yourself expanding even further out through the solar system, connecting with the spirit of the sun, a precious star, which creates, nourishes the etheric body, without which we could not exist here, which feeds the physical body directly. So that if we choose to, just like plants, we can receive energies directly from this prana, the solar plant prana. So as we continue to stretch out, we link with the sun, with these currents of light pouring in from the sun. We stretch through the solar system, out beyond the heliopause, the magnetic barrier surrounding our solar system, out through the Milky Way galaxy, across an infinite cascade of stars that comprise this galaxy, out to the central sun of our Milky Way, the mother star. This is where we are experiencing a new wave of intention, of information, of primordial, intelligent light. And this is what Gaia is receiving now to shape her next step in evolution. So we receive this cosmic light, this galactic information through our subtle bodies, through this resonance that we've created, continuing to anchor this deep into the heart of the earth as we also continue to stretch out towards the heart of the universe, extending out beyond the Milky Way, riding along these filaments of plasma. Plasma is linked instantaneously across the universe. Information, energy, intention moves across these fields of plasma instantly, far beyond the speed of light. All things are connected with all things through these fields of plasma. And as we travel across these fields of plasma, we move out to the boundaries of time and space. The entire structure of this experiment we call creation. And then out beyond those boundaries, we begin to experience that primordial consciousness within our own personal self, within this body, the human individual form, within the planetary body, where we experience ourselves as Gaia, our solar body, our galactic body. We experience the cells of the physical body linked with entire galaxies. Every cell is a star, every cell is an entire galaxy, every cell is an entire universe. We are holographically linked to all there is at all times. But as we open these doors, it becomes part of our conscious awareness and experience. And in that experience, in that awareness, We connect with the collective energy fields around us. We connect with the human collective field. Including all the traumas and fears, the greed and the arrogance, the density, the violence, the fear, the war, the mistrust, the pain. This is all part of the shadow that has been crystallized because of our inability to surrender to the flow. And as we allow this flow to move through us into the collective, it releases that crystallized density. It opens up a space within the heart of humanity. We join with Gaia's own intention. We join with the great cosmic mother in her intention for a new wave of galactic creation. This planet is a focal point for this new wave. We simply surrender to this wave, let it pass through us, through the personal self, through the planetary self, and beyond. There's no inside and outside. You're no longer fixed in the idea of being human, which means you're no longer trapped in the forces of duality that have shaped this collective matrix. Of third dimensional reality. This is the activation of the magic box that the aboriginal elders had dreamed. The activation of the dragon lines across the earth, the awakening of the rainbow serpent through the telluric forces within the earth, and the creation of that rainbow bridge linking all dimensions in worlds above and worlds below. Notice this wave of joy that moves out across these fields. Joy is a frequency of light which can unobstructedly carry the intention from a galactic mother to the heart of our earth mother. So we're 9 minutes past the actual moment of solstice, and we continue to seed this out, to ripple it out, radiate it out across these fields of time and space. Ramdo refers to a buffering out in time and space. It's like a spinning wheel, says Leslie. It's a vortex. And this is what Merkabas are. We're linking a personal human Merkaba with the Merkaba of this beautiful planet, linking up to the Merkaba of our solar system, our galactic Merkaba, eventually out to the Merkaba that represents our physical universe and our multidimensional universe, which links us up to primordial consciousness. So thank you for joining me here. Keep shining. Yeah, thank you all for your beautiful comments and hearts and namastes and ice cream cones and rainbows and suns and dolphins. Blessings and love. Thanks be to all of you, my galactic family.